right, welcome to SF Garnish Music Production. My name is Justin Anchetta, and I'm going to be taking you through some Ableton 10 Suite features. So please open up your Ableton 10, and I'm just going to walk you through just a few basic functions within your Ableton program. In the upper left-hand corner, you can expand out to go to your instruments. And we're going to make sure that we have some nice instruments that we want, such as, I always start with drums. I have a few drums that I've put in here myself, and there's also some that are built in, synth drums, etc. So once you find drums that you really like, you can right-click on a drum and go in and put it into your favorites. So right-click and make it one of the colors. You can then rename them. I've put up here drums, and these are some favorites that I've added in. So let's go ahead and bring that into your MIDI channel. You can also drop that over and create a new device. And now that we're in our MIDI channel, we want to try and get a drum track. And let's just say that you might have some latency or lag time because you don't have a good interface. That's okay. You can actually go through and do this manually by double-clicking on one of your scenes right here in Session View. I'm going to go ahead and close out this side menu bar. You can open and close it just by clicking that arrow in the upper left-hand corner. So now we have a 4-bar phrase that instantly is created, and I can zoom down, I'm using the mouse with 2 fingers to scroll up and down, and I'm going to go down to where my kick and my snare is. Looks like the kick, trap, thud, and then also the snare deep, the snare 808 deep. So go ahead and press the B function on your keyboard, and it should turn your mouse into a drawing pad. If it doesn't do that, you want to make sure that up here in the upper right-hand corner that your keypad is, actually, you can have the keypad on and the B function still works. Other functions sometimes don't work with that keypad on. So just for now, keep it off, and let's do the B. And we're going to add in the kick, 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 snare. Kick, 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 snare. And let's get some hi-hats in here as well. So scrolling up to a hi-hat, open quick. And so right now it's set to a grid that's about 16th notes. And that's fine. Let's go ahead and just make that all the way across. Now we're going to go and play that by clicking the play button over the exact scene you just created. You can also click on the main master scene play button right here. This kind of sideways triangle represents the play function. All right. So that's pretty fast. All right, so I just stopped that. And so that's actually pretty fast. I think that what I kind of want to do here is make my tempo slower so I can really hear what's going on. So up in the upper left-hand corner, it says 130 BPM. I'm going to bring that down to 90 and try and play that again. Now I'm also noticing that the sound of the hi-hat is the open hi-hat, and that's really just too washed out for me. So I'm going to go ahead and move that. I'm going to unclick the B function. So press your B button again to go back into just selecting mode. I'm going to select all, and I'm going to move that to the, let's try and do this as a hi-hat that is closed. Hi-hat, 808 short. I'm guessing that's it. All right. So that's sounding a lot better there. So often in these beats, you want to have a little bit of a stutter of the hi-hat. And what we can do there, Command 2 brings your grid higher, and Command 1 brings it more cut up. You can kind of see that in the bottom area of the screen. Let's go ahead and make that a little bit bigger. So Command 2 makes it bigger. Command 1 makes it smaller. And what you want to do is find out the dividing point that you really want. Go back into the B drawing mode, and you can then draw in smaller notes. These are going to be like 30-second notes, I believe. Now, all right, so it's a little more stuttered. And if you want some more variation, instead of just a 4-bar phrase, you can go ahead and click the entire loop. It's kind of this upper area right here that just highlighted. Oops, Control Z. Make sure it is selected. It went from pink to black. And then go Command D, duplicate. You can also go File. You can go into duplicate above as well. Edit. So you can go into edit and then duplicate. But Command D is a shortcut code. And now you have a 8-bar phrase. And what's special about that is that you can go ahead and take some notes out to customize what you're doing. And this kind of allows the beat to be less busy, I would say. All right, so I changed up some of the hi-hat, the kick, and the snare to make an 8-bar phrase, an 8-beat phrase. After that, our volumes and our effects are also something that I really want to make sure is just makes it kind of feel better. One thing that I do is I go into the hi-hat short right here, 808 short. You can even click on the play button right here to check it out. And that is the sound. And I'm going to lower the volume of that by about 8 or 9 dB. All right. Another function that I want to do is the transposition function. You can see the transposition going up and down in the bottom right of the screen. I'm going to automate that to go up and down. And before I do that, you can actually make this easier with your keyboard. I use the Q button. So I go Command K, and it makes it to where your keyboard functions can engage any button. So I'm going to go click the upper record button right here. You just see the Q show up in the upper. I'm going to do it one more time so you guys can see that middle upper. And that right there is the function to overdub. So when we're playing and I press that Q button, it engages red. And there it is. I moved the transposition while the Q feature, the record feature that I just created. I'm going to press Q again to take that off. So we just did an automation, and often I bring that volume back a little bit because once you have so much movement, you just want kind of that in the back of your beat. Okay. The next thing I want to do is bring in some reverb. I think that the snare and the hi-hat specifically need some reverb. So in the upper area, I can type in reverb. I don't have anything there because it's in my drum section. So go to Audio Effects, and there's a bunch of reverbs that we can choose from down here. Let's see here. The reverb for a hi-hat should be probably not that long. So rooms. Let's go into a room. let's make this like an office space. We're going to drag this right over the exact hi-hat 808. So it brings up right next to it. If it's outside of it, the reverb, right? I'll bring this outside for a second. If it's over here, it's actually on your entire drums. That actually sounds pretty cool, actually. But I just want it to be inside, just on my hi-hat. Bring the dry wet down. Decay time up a little bit. And I want to do the same thing now to my snare. Let's see, let's do a drums room. And I'm going to bring that right over just the snare 808 deep, because I know that that is a sound that I'm working on. So clicking that over, hovering right over the snare 808 deep, and it drops it in. Bringing the dry wet down, bringing decay time down a little bit. I'm going to do some high cut and low cut. What this does is it's making the reverb be just in a specific hertz. So some of the high end, watch this, the high end or the low end really changes how it sounds. Trying out a few customizations here. Chorus on the reverb. All right. So now we have the drums going pretty good here. And what we want to do is just make sure that we have a bass line that can match that drum track. And I'm going to give you a trick here. Command-Shift-T creates a new MIDI track. And we're going to bring in our bass. I have my favorites already listed over here. I have some bass. This hip-hop bass sounds pretty fat. So I'm going to go bring in my hip-hop bass. And you can actually engage your keyboard in the upper right-hand corner right here to play your bass. Let's see here. I'm going to make sure that you guys can see what I'm talking about. So there it is. Upper right-hand corner right here. So see what I'm engaging on and off? That is your keyboard function. When that is engaged, your keyboard, A through L, can actually play notes. But see how high in pitch that is? That's a little bit too high. So what I want to do is Z and X on your keyboard, bring the octave down or up. Z is down, X is up. I'm going to go down 2. And that's sounding more like a bass. Maybe one more low. A little bit too low. So back up X1. All right. So you can either play that bass part. One way that I like to kind of speed up how the bass can really connect with the kick is making a 2-bar phrase. So making this Command D, double that up. And then go ahead and just take the kick part that is playing, select that, copy it in to your bass. And it automatically went to my C. I don't think that's the right octave that I want. So I can actually, if you want to go up and down, you can just use the up and down arrow to go bring these up and down. But what you can also do to do a whole octave lower is shift up or shift down. See how it went to C0 or -1? So let's go ahead and play those together by selecting the entire scene in the upper right. I'm not hearing the bass. I think it's too low, so I'm going to select all, Command A, shift up. There it is. So C1 is actually pretty good. And so something that happens is sometimes you bounce down to the 5, right? C. So how you find the 5 chord is you just count up C, D, E, F, G, right? 5 up, that's your G note. And I'm going to bring that down an octave, right, to the G0 instead. See how that sounds. And let's do this one too. How about E? D. Extend some notes. So just like that, you can have a bass line matching your kick. And then you can always change your notes around to have some variation. What I also like to do is extend my bass notes to the snare, right? So I'm stopping the bass note when the snare hits. This is something that often a bass player does, is he has some long notes, some short notes, and cutting the note right on the snare is definitely a cool feature. So there you go. You have your bass and snare of your song, and that's a good starting point for your song. In the next time that I come in and do a session here, I'm going to be showing you guys a little bit more around some of the instruments that you can layer on top of your bass and drums, and then getting into your verse and chorus, and then bringing that into your arrangement view. And once you're in your arrangement view, you can then start arranging your song. And there's a great feature to bring it back into session view again to do extra automation and effects and transitions. So if you like what you see here, please like and subscribe to our page, or check out sf.garnishmusicproduction.com for online and in-person electronic music production workshops in Ableton, Logic, and Pro Tools from our boutique school in North Oakland at Soul Graffiti Studios. Have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you in the near future.